Sanibonani babukeli siyanamukela kwintandokazi yohlelo lenu Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right khona la kumamba phambili phela iSABC 1 eMzansi for sure, as well as iSABC Plus uma ngabe wena udownload iApp. Bukeli uhlelo nomangcolosi uNhlanhla uAlicia Jali. Bukeli siyazi ukuthi abaningi ke bethu phela banezifiso sokuthi one day sibe nemizi ethi thina, kodwa phela ukuthenga indlu yeRDP emntwini mbukeli kungakufaka enkingeni eningi, kanye nayo leyo indlu leyo oyithengile ungazithola usuluza futhi nemali. Kodwa ke asingabe sakhuluma kakhulu, asingene shiqe odabeni lethu namhlanje. Alright, mbukela ukusiza ke ngezinto phela ekumele sizivulele amehlo uma wena udayiselwa noma udayisa indlu yeRDP. Masamukele umbeli ubhuti Bangiso Mhlabeni, sibe naye no Sis Thato Ramaili. She is the acting CEO at Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, siyanibingelela ohlelweni othi ngiqale ngeintokazi insizwa. Sis Thato, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Talk to us a bit about ukuthi nenzani lapha a Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority.
We are the regulator of the entire property sector in South Africa.
Okay.
So our mandate rests on 3 pillars, which is to regulate the industry, to protect consumers, and also to transform the property sector.
All right. But Bangiso, wena ngiyazi ukuthi ummeli sikubiza ngeconveyancer bese siyibeka phela ngolimo labelungu, wena ke osiza lapha uma kuthengiswa izindlu. Ake sikhulume ngale ndaba yokuthi umthetho uthini baba mekuthiwa izindlu zeRDP ziyadayiseka mase kunjani, futhi ubani ongayithengisa le ndlu yeRDP nongayithenga futhi le ndlu yeRDP?
Yes. Eqaleni izindlu zeRDP izindlu eziphiwa abantu for free. I-mandate ye-government based our constitution in terms of our Bill of Rights, South Africans, especially abantu abahluphekayo or abantu abalupheleyo or abantwana abashiywe ngabazali sebancinci abangakwazi ukuafforda ukuthenga indlu. So i-mandate ye-government ukuthi in its program lebizwa i-reconstruction and development program, i-RDP, fanele abantu bafumane izindlu mahala if uhola imali engaphansi ko-3,501 cent. So that means ngabantu abathi pensioners or abantu bafumana i-pension from ISASA or abantu abanganalo income edlula i-3,500. Therefore, these are supposed to be giveaways. Ziphiwa abantu ukwazi i-government ifulfile imandate yayo yokuthi access to adequate housing as Bill of Rights mayifike ebantwini babe nezindlu babe namakhaya impilo zabo ziphucuke. So eqaleni kwayo bezingafanele ukuthi ziyathengiswa ngoba le ndlu uyayiphiwa mahala nguhulumende ukwazi ube nekhaya uphucule impilo yakho, uphucule impilo abantwana bakho babe nekhaya labo ngoba awukwazi ukuthi ungakwazi usithengela indlu engeyakho. So le mandate ngekahulumende based on the constitution and from laxesha lika Utatu Joslovo, who was on a program Reconciliation Development as a Minister of Housing, the first minister in Democratic South Africa. So Akfananga was that thing you said. We are pure, ukwazi ube nekhaya.
Kumele ngaba sikhuluma nokuyikhuluma le ndaba ukuthi izindlu lezi ziyathengiswa ngoba especially labantu wena sisatho, a lot of people sit on this list, the waiting list forever, waiting for this house, and then to just sell it also and then not following the proper prescripts of the law. Akukho emthethweni. But talk to us about the corruption that is inherent in this sector. We've heard so many stories and scams that surround the RDP market.
Yes, well, Alicia, dinokwani dihohle, right? So there's scammers everywhere, and particularly in this industry because we are talking money, we are talking big money.
But iqhamuka kuphi? Where does it emanate from? Is it from the authorities that are supposed to be giving these houses away, or is it the people that actually have received these houses? Or it's both? Kuyahlangana?
It's both, but mostly for people who are also owning these RDP homes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Bangiso will talk more about how many years can one wait before
we die,
before you can
yes.
sell. So
Yes.
can you sell it? That's not ideal, but you can, but after a prescribed years, which is 8 years.
Talk to us about the scams. Awusichazele ukuthi emsebenzini wenu, like what have you found out in terms of the scams that people actually commit, or ilokuzana, the corruption that people commit in order to try and just get that extra buck when it comes to RDP houses?
Alicia, unfortunately, there's death, right? That's the reality. So once a person dies, that's an opportunity where scammers now gravitate towards homes. And if it's a home, an RDP home, they hear there's death in the family, then practitioners or real estate wannabes or fake real estate agents will then say they know there's death in that family, then they'll go to buyers, prospect buyers saying there's a house on the market. And that I call a blind sale, because some people will buy a home, an RDP house, they've never seen. So that's just one of the scams.
Baba Bangiso, umuntu uyakhona ukuthi athenge lendlu ye-RDP without involving nina as ama-conveyancers or abameli or izinto or ama-agents even?
No, awukhona in short, because first of all, RDP house, once he transfer to the beneficiary from
government. Yes.
Kukho a condition efakwa nguhulumende ubonile ukuthi abantu sebenza quick scam, like because umzali ulinda for 12 years mhlawumbe elindele i-title deed, abanye bayasweleka in the process la kusisebenziswa kusheka abantwana kusheke omalume notamkhulu, so bathathe abanye bayithatha lendlu ngokubayithengisa ngobona i-opportunity uyenza imali ngespeed. But ukuya ngomthetho i-RDP ine-condition ukuthi nxa ufuna uyithengisa before the 8-year period iphela after ufumana i-title deed, i-condition le ndlu kufanele ubuyele ku-government, urhulumente.
Okay.
Ngoba babanintsi abantu abakwi-queue mos abalindele le ndlu.
Yebo.
Wena oyithengisayo it means awusayidingi le ndlu.
Yebo.
Ngoba ubuyiphiwe for free.
Okay.
So nxa awusayidingi uyayithengisa, that means kunalapho uzakwazi uyohlala khona. So then urhulumente uthi then masijonge ngokwaba kwiline sikhuphe wena kule ndlu sifake omnye kule ndlu odinga indlu. So within that 8 years awunakwazi ukuthi ungayithengisa ngoba le condition nase-deeds office iyayibhlokha i-transfer.
Okay.
Ngoba i-registrars ziyajonga ukuthi le ndlu nxa uthethingisa zithini i-conditions zale ndlu, i-title deed conditions. And one of the title conditions afanele nge-transfer within 8 years, and if uyayithengisa i-provincial administration or administrator, yes, a human settlement must give you consent.
Okay.
A consent in writing.
But we know that's not happening.
No, I've been involved in some transaction, few, as a case of Dutch Deeds Office.
Yeah.
But EP consent from the provincial
Yes.
head. Yeah, but not every examiner sometimes picks it up. Yeah, but God, that continuity, before 8 years, I transfer it. So once it transferred, each department can always reverse that transaction.
Okay.
Because it's having a pananga consent, and then that transaction will not be lawful. Yeah,
Okay.
So, but after 8 years, then the reason why he enjoy 8 years, it is because quick constitution, once we own a property, you've got a right to deal with your own property.
As you please, yeah.
But now, so because the government cannot stop you from selling it in the future, after 8 years, abantwana sebekhulile bakwazi ukuthi bangathengela a better house.
Yes.
So uyakwazi abazali sebeswelekile abantwana bathi hayi thina sifuna a bigger stand. So bangakwazi ithengisa after 8 years.
Okay.
So imithetho yabavumela.
All right, asibambe lapho kwamanje but Bangiso Mbukeli, I'm going to open the lines shortly emva kwaleli khefu nisifonele nina nisitshela ukuthi ubani lo sekudayisela phela i-RDP house nashintshana ngemali emva kwayo leyo yindlu ningazange nenze zonke lezi zinto ubhuti Bangisa nosesithathu abasishoyo la. Mbukeli, we're coming back shortly after this in Gaindawo. Mbogeli, welcome back. You're watching Yilungelo Lakho live la kumamba phambili SABC 1. I've opened the lines now. 011-714-0669, alternatively 714-0670. You can also send us a WhatsApp message to 060-844-9857. consumer@sabc.co.za is our email address. And of course, ungasithola lapha on Facebook as well as on Twitter. Mbogeli, sikhuluma ngokuthi wena uyakhona yini ukuthi uthenge noma uthengiselwe indlu ye-RDP and kukuthi futhi iyiphi imbangela nemlandelo ekumele uyilandele mayelana nomthetho uma wena uzokwenza lokho. My guest today usis Thato Ramaili. She's the acting CEO at Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority alongside insizwa Bangiso Mhlabeni. He's a conveyancer at Bangiso Mhlabeni Incorporated. Ungasfonela ke Mbukeli usitshela ukuthi wena how has your experience been uma uthenga noma uthengiselwa an RDP house. Okay, so Thato, look, talk to us about what is the main condition in which an owner can then decide to sell the house. Ngizwile ukuthi Bangiso had already mentioned ukuthi maybe there's a death in the family, or alternatively the kids have grown or you've bought a bigger house. But what are some of the other conditions where you are then allowed to repurpose or resell this house?
There has to be a title deed.
Okay.
Right. So the title deed says you are the rightful owner of this house that you're occupying. Right. And then in addition to that, there's also an immovable property condition report that must accompany the sale. So in this report, we are saying, I know what are the contents of this house. There's no damp, there's no cracks. It is in a certain condition so that the buyer is buying, something that they know the condition of, right? So that's the condition. And also, what a lot of people must know that if you don't know who the rightful owner is and there's no title deed, you can always go and contact a conveyancer because they can look up and ensure who is the rightful owner of this property, and by searching what we do, a deed search. So their process is connected to the deeds office, so you know you are buying from who the rightful owner of the property.
And speaking of who we are selling to, am I selling it to just anybody who comes and approaches me to buy this house? Is it a South African? Is it South African citizens? Is it foreigners? Who exactly can I sell this house to?
Again, that's also the duty of the property practitioner, right? You have the right to know who you're selling the property to. And there's a form that they also need to complete saying, I'm selling it to an individual, right? You're an individual, or you're a company, or you are somebody
business even.
From a royal family, whether you're a South African citizen or not. So you've got the right to know to whom you are selling this property to, and that information lies with the property practitioner or a real estate agent.
On the back of that, Bangiso, a lot of people, we've seen ukuthi bayama kwi-list ahlale 15 years umuntu kwi-waiting list for lendlu ye-RDP kade hlale emkhukhwini. Government finally builds them an RDP house, gives it to them, hands it over, and then the next thing you hear ukuthi an illegal foreigner has been sold this house. Kudilwa kanjani when it comes to those matters? Because how does then the sale get completed at the deeds office and all these other entities if the proper prescripts of the law were not followed?
Yeah, I think it's problematic because when you look at the RDP house, it's a benefit.
Yes.
And this benefit, if ends look to iphucule abantu abahluphekile, especially the older people and abantwana and
South African citizens.
Yes. That's the benefit for them. And even if we jonga the program itself, the RDP, the Reconstruction and Development Program, which the house is one of them, of the benefits. Clean water, security, clean energy, good health, free health, free education, because that program is meant to impilo yabantu abahluphekile. So once you start le ndlu wena uyithengisela umuntu okwazi uafforda ukuthi angayothenga indlu ku-estate or kuyathenga indlu kwi-market, then you are defeating the end ekarhulumente yokuthi makaphucule impilo zabantu. Ukuya ngami, I agree with government ukuthi nxa ube uthi nase diphucukile ngoku angisayidingi le ndlu. Ibuyisele back urhulumente anikeze omnye umuntu okwi-queue, because this is supposed to stay kwi-queue. Everyone assistance from government. For example, abahola above 3,000, I'm a teacher, and I'm a police, work between 3,500 and 15,000. But you got a subsidy. You want ibizwa iflisp this
Iflisp, yes.
So this subsidy iyabancedisa nabo ukuthi nxa bafuna uthenga izindlu zabo because bona abafoli kule category ye RDP, but nxa unojwanga uzofumana kwezi RDP kuhlala amapolisa, kuhlala amatitshere, kuhlala wonke umuntu qualifying ukuthi angahlala kwezindlu. So ukuya ngomthetho, if human settlement as a department ikwazi ukumonitora this, ibinokwazi ukuthi ingayenza investigations ikukhuphe nabo ukuthi uyithengile ngoba this house doesn't stop to being an RDP benefit just because it lay 8 years. Kukho abantu abase-queue even today since 1994.
Yes.
And
they're going to backlog.
Yes. Backlog is because they is supposed to fast track titling for abantu.
Yeah, and unfortunately Mbukeli labantu abahluphekileyo akubona laba bathola lezi zindlu lezi, uthola ukuthi izindlu njengoba sengishilo uthola ukuthi uma stand sekunoma stand kunomunye umuntu sekunabantu that come and take over these houses. 0117140669 7140670. We're coming back shortly after this. Ungayindawo. Well, that was a short break. Welcome back, Mbukeli. Izingcingo zethu sezivuliwe 0117140669 or 7140670. consumer@sabc.co.za is our email address, and of course, Sikona on Facebook as well as Twitter. We're talking about the selling and, of course, the buying of our RDP houses. Ukuthi uthini umthetho when it comes to those things, because we've heard a lot of stories. Nisipalele la kwilungelo lakho nathi senikhokhele ama agents athize athatha imali zenu adayisa izindlu ngapha angakathola ama title deed. So please sicela usifonele usitshele ukuthi ingxaki yakho yini. Thato, I wanted to find out, like, Rautla hore ntate Bangiso wa bua ka di policies, but how enforceable are those policies when it comes to, like, realistically, are people following these prescripts of the law when it comes to selling these houses? And I mean, maybe buyers are exempted because we'll just talk about what the due diligence that they should be doing before they buy these houses. But when it comes to the sellers, I think that's where we need to concentrate more.
No, absolutely, Sis Alicia. And are these policies enforceable?
Yes.
Absolutely. So in the instance that a person would sell a house before the 8-year prescription and you get reported to the provincial housing department, you can forfeit that house. And if you happen to be a buyer, to purchase this house, you'll also lose money because that house will never be transferred. So we also urge consumers, buyers, neighbors, if you do know of such actions that are transpiring in bring it to the attention of the Department of Human Settlements, bring it to the attention of the PPRA, because we can only sometimes act on what we know, you know, but they are definitely enforceable, these policies, Sis Alicia.
Okay, and then Bangiso, so I mean, talk to us then about due diligence, as I've just mentioned, that the buyer should then undertake before now uzithola ukuthi usulahlekelwe imali, because wena ubone indlu kwathiwa yey u250,000 was the RDP house, umuntu akanayo ngisho iRDP adlule ngale yakunika u50,000 sekuyakhokhelwa akusayinwa ngisho ukusayinwa indlu sihambile kanjalo, and they will not go and report ukuthi hey angakayithola title deed.
Yes, I think now I would discourage people from buying RDP houses. Go look for a house at Things Market. Because RDP houses, number one, is a benefit.
Yes.
And this benefit, it's a benefit. The title deed. We saw the HSS list, which is a human settlement a list for our beneficiaries. I can't be a title deed. I'm not title deed, although you benefit, I shouldn't like it. You can easily only know the title deed. All you have is a benefit. We list where you stand in line to get a house or to get a. Say a key, but it doesn't mean good in a title deed. And once a department, we're not utengil, and so could pay mal, because most of these people, but about more than one person. I think they haven't been really kai. When I say full lendu, they are things about busy kai. There are things about 3, 4. and wonke umuntu uthi une-affidavit ndithenge kulo muntu. An affidavit is not a sale agreement.
It's not a
It's
title deed
it's
either.
not even a title deed. And kunalento ukuthi you cannot sell a better right than the one that you have. If I own le ndlu, awuna ownership, ngeke ukuthi uthengise ownership because awunayo ownership.
Yes.
Awunathi ndiyakuthengisela nansi le ndlu asiyo yakho, ekarhulumente. Urhulumente uthi ndikupha yona and usekwiline wakapha entitled lead. In the past, what government would do, xa befika ukuthi uyithengise le ndlu, then iyabuya iyakwilist, uyabona. Kujonga ngoba nabanye abakwiline. But now because of the backlog, sometimes what they do is, but okay, so still so they transfer kulaa mntu osimpe yona. Whether uyithengisele yona, i-title deed iyakulaa mntu, uyabona. Wena othenge ngoku uyaluza ngoba i-title deed ayizi kuwe, but uyithengile imali. So make sure ukuthi nxa uthenga indlu kune-title deed, and nokuthi the period has exceeded 8 years, i-title deed ikhona, not indlu ikhona, because indlu ngaba khona for 20 years, but umane ukuthi there's a backlog of could be title deeds. So the 8 years start only from the time once i-title deed ibuya from a deeds office.
Yeah.
And like uSister Thato, once indlu ithengiswa within that 8, it triggers that reversionary clause. Ibiza ukuthi i-title deed because uthi awusayifuni le ndlu wena le benefit and ayikabi semagameni wakho ibuyela kwi-department ngoba sokwazi ukuthi uyofundela enye indawo. So
Yeah.
people must be careful ukuthi lo muntu othi ndiyathengisa, number 1 une-title deed, number 2 nguye kule title deed umnikazi wendlu, and number 3 nokuthi the title deed is older than 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And yes, Sister
And then
Thato, go ahead.
also, ke marekisang ntlo eo.
Hey.
Yeah.
So if Areki, a property practitioner kapa a real estate agent, are they truly real estate agents?
Hey, and then ke batla ho botsa gore can then a property practitioner also perform the duties tsa Ntate Bangiso are na I am a conveyancer ke tlo rekisetsa ntlo e? Can they do that?
Akere the real estate agent, baukamedi ba di agent ke PPRA.
Yes.
That's where I come in.
Yes.
And then if you are saying now o conveyancer, bone ba okametswe ke LPC, legal
it's two
practice council.
different, yeah.
So in order for you o conveyancer, o badile molao na, o kene sekolo sa molao, o entse LLB, are you an admitted attorney, are you an admitted conveyancer? Then if you are saying you are that, and also you are a real estate agent or a property practitioner, could you then perform those functions? Then I'm compelled to say, Ntate Bangiso.
Yeah, not everyone is a conveyancer.
Yes.
So, ukwazi ukube yi-conveyancer, you must first be an attorney.
Yes.
Ube admitted attorney, and admitted high court. And then thereafter, ubhala i-exam, conveyancers. And ufanele uyiphase lo exam, and then admitted a high court again as a conveyancer. Ube nale certificate in conveyancer, and then ube a practitioner good standing LPC, and ube ne fidelity fund as
We
well.
specialists kahle.
Yes, we are special because not every lawyer is a conveyancer.
Absolutely,
not
yeah.
every property. And no property system, whether a RDP or a FLISP, ownership yakho engadlusa i-conveyancer. Because conveyancer finally draft a new title deed, and that new title deed, which is who's the new owner and the previous owner, number conditions, and that title deed finally lodge at its office, examine its office, and then it passes, and it gives a new title deed number. So once there's a new title number, then there's a new ownership, but only a conveyancer can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sister Thato, and then I want to know. I mean, we were speaking earlier on, Bangiso Uti, he's discouraging people from buying or selling those RDP houses. But do you think there's a message from government, I mean from human settlements, that is basically discouraging people from, there's a strong enough message that is coming from government, from the sector that is dealing with these houses to say, people don't just buy these houses. In fact, don't even sell them because these are actually benefits that are specifically for you. Do you think the message is coming across?
Maybe it's not reaching the right people,
Yeah.
but as a department, there is consumer awareness throughout the country, and obviously we target the areas where RDP houses are being sold. But obviously from today, moving forward, I'll make sure that we increase consumer awareness, and not only from the department's point of view, from also the entities, right, that are housed under the Department of Human Settlements, the PPRA, we are one of them, and also NHFC, which are the ones that are responsible for the FLISP. They've rebranded now to First Home Finance, as well as CSOS. So it is also our duty to make sure that we amplify and send out the right message.
A strict message,
yes.
yeah. All right, and then let's say you found that these houses have been fraudulently sold and people have fraudulently bought them, and it's a persistent thing in certain locations and areas. What do you do? What is recourse then for government, for human settlements to get those benefits back from those people who actually attained them incorrectly or fraudulently?
So also, Alicia, if the benefits, like if there was an exchange of money, you will need to lodge a complaint with the PPRA, with us.
Okay.
Right? We will ask certain questions. Who sold the house? The person or unanali a valid FFC, which is a Fidelity Fund certificate. That is the tool of trade.
Yeah.
So what I want to encourage viewers at home is, before you even sign anything, the question, before you even know whether there's a title deed, you need to ask the practitioner, the real estate agent, are you in the business of selling homes, and are you a valid FFC holder, right? And then if that has been satisfied, or there's been a loss of money, that's where you come from us. And then also report same to the Department of Human Settlements, so they can investigate and ensure that the person who are selling, if it's before the 8 years, if it can be brought back, obviously, to their books, so it can go to the next beneficiary.
But Bangiso, I want to read you something here from complaints from Hello Peter. Uti, I bought an RDP house through certain properties. I'll show you the property group. Uti, in October of 2017 for 175,000 rand. I was promised to move in within 3 months, but that never happened. After the failure to deliver on the promise, I wrote and demanded that we sign a refund should they not deliver the house by the end of March. The agreement was signed on the 4th of April 2018, which stated that I would get my refund on the 8th of May, which also never happened. I signed the agreement with one. He names the person with the number in the presence of the administrator with their name and numbers. To this day, I'm still waiting for my refund. During the process, I even tried getting a lawyer to get this sorted, but no results. Please assist. But hold your answer. We're going to take a quick ad break, and we're coming back shortly after this. Right now. Bugeli, welcome back. I'm definitely trying to fix my lines. Keep trying though. It is 011-714-0669, alternatively 714-0670. You can also send us a WhatsApp 060-844-9857, or send us an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. Ustolelapa on Facebook as well as on Twitter. I'm with Thato Ramaili. She's the acting CEO at Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, alongside Conveyancer Bangiso Mhlabeni. He is the conveyancer at Bangiso Mhlabeni Incorporated. Let's go to the lines again. Who am I speaking to? Salisa, are you on the line? All right, it looks like I'm still struggling with my lines, but we are trying to sort that issue. But Bangiso, before Kevin, serious, and we were discussing this thing during the break where you saw this is the property group that is involved, and we came to a conclusion, Uguti.
Like I said,
on what basis, though? On the fact that the agents that were selling this house, the agent group that were selling this house that is mentioned here is probably a fly-by-night.
There's 2 layers, if not 3. The first one, an RDP house is not meant for the market. It's meant to alleviate local housing. It's a giveaway, it's a free. So once it's a free property, you don't expect to have estate agents to be involved or anyone who's selling on behalf of the beneficiary.
Yes.
You don't expect that. Yeah, well, it's a giveaway house. You put this family because it's meant to alleviate the housing problem and ukuphucula impilo yabantu. So once you get people who are claiming ukuthi I'm the agent selling an RDP house, banomnikeza imandate. Is it the department, or is it the beneficiary, or is it the owner? So that is the problem because then who gave that person a mandate? You're going to attend this house. So because they are not meant for a market.
So 175,000 gone.
Yeah. I think there are plenty of.
Of course,
people.
these are my complaints and
yes, and most of them, even alum we agent, we are going to bayenza deal no whoever ongana ne title deed, and then by place on the market because abazali bethu bayachona
yes.
because these RDPs they started in 1994, so you can imagine since 1994 up to today it's more than 20 years.
Yeah.
So kule 20 years abaninzi abazali bethu bebefumana benefits baswelekile either through old age or either through HIV, because remember HIV took about 6 million. And then COVID now took about a couple of millions. So people died in the process, building these benefits. So it had lead a gafiki or decided that I'm be kaya, say him talanko. I color benefit, this is a makaya. So whoever is selling, Baba needs about things like got I can title it, I can ne right to things. So that agent left. We defrauded this person. So the best claim we are fraud. Good to defraud the agent so they can sue for fraud. But they cannot sue for RDP house. It's not meant for the market. And even if we are sushaban, because that person is not the owner, that agency. It's where I know the owner. So, and the department also usually will say, if outside food and things, it will send it back to us because the queue is long.
This is very interesting. Thato, I know you wanted to add something there because unsori la khona lona gore le etse the investigations. If people actually report gore there is property groups or agents that are actually selling these houses, how do you then conduct the investigations?
Pele ne ke batla hore the defrauded party in this case was defrauded ka 2017, right? Hankabe a reportile the matter to us ka 2020, irregardless of whether the agent is a fly-by-night or not, they would have been able to claim the money and probably get a refund or a compensation.
Some sort of recourse.
Yes, from us. From then the Estate Agency Affairs Board, because now the PPRA, we're new. We've rebranded, if I can call it that.
Yes.
We are now governed by the PPA, which is the Property Practitioners Act.
Okay.
But now, fast forward to 1st of February 2022 up until today. If you are defrauded, if there's a scam, like in the case of the defrauded person there, and that person used an agent who does not even have a valid FFC, then, Alicia, we can't help you. Before we can. But the other issue issue ya prescription.
Yes.
More only an amount of time whereby you need to lodge a complaint or put your hand up and say but if 3 years ifeta for a lack of a better term the time period in which you can lodge a complaint has expired. So 2023 your complainant there, this issue happened in 2017. That's why Ntate Bangiso are ulimele.
Yeah, I think because Uti he has approached a lawyer to assist. And probably that lawyer will be a brick wall because the RDP house is not that agent is property. And you need to prove to take the owner and to look things like right things.
Yeah.
So so they can try their like Baba reporter, even now with police, because it can be a criminal case, because fraud goes both ways. Fraud is a criminal offense because you've been defrauded.
Yeah.
So when I go commercial crimes and then report that as a commercial crime, and then they can be investigated, because I don't think ukuthi nguye yedwa olimazwe ngabantu aba. There's
Yeah.
probably plenty of
Oh no, I've got a
people
whole lot
abalimazwe
from
ngabantu.
the same
But it becomes a
property
commercial
group.
crimes case whereby there've been somebody who's presented as an agent or to fraud an innocent person. Umthathele pension yakhe 175.
Thato, ideally then, let's say somebody then does meet the requirements, the prescribed requirements to then be able to sell this house, right? What should happen? What should be the steps? I know Utuput Bangiso had already given us a little bit of tips. Does one approach the bank? Does one... Kuyisebenza kanjani leyo process?
Yeah, basically, there has to be a sale agreement or an
Okay.
agreement of sale.
Between who? Who are the parties? Who's the buying party and the selling party?
Between the buyer and the seller.
Okay.
But then the agent, a valid FFC holding agent,
Yes.
is the one facilitating this transaction between the seller.
Okay.
who is the
Uyinkile kai
rightful
authority yena, uyinkile from Luna.
To
Okay.
sell the property, it must come from the seller.
Okay.
Morekisi wa ntlo.
Okay.
O reng, nna, I'm the rightful owner of this property. Here's
Here's the
my title
proof.
deed showing that it's my house.
I've stayed here
I've
for
stayed here
over
for
8 years, 10 years.
Yes. Then the requirements are met. Then the agent will then facilitate the process, the transaction, and there has to be an agreement of sale. Re ke rekisa ka bokana. And there's also a timeline. We have to say you'll need to get a bond. And ke a tseba ba bangata ba rekisa through cash.
Yes.
That's another red flag. So if motho a re nna ke batla cash, you must start thinking, because ha ba re cash, they want to eliminate Ntate Bangiso, who's the conveyancer. But if it's a bond, obviously to go to the bank, the agent should also facilitate that process by engaging bond originators
Okay.
to facilitate the sale of the process. And then after the agreement of sale, with that document that I spoke to you before, the immovable condition property report.
Yes.
Dia kopana, and then dia ho a conveyancer like Ntate Bangiso
Sure.
to then kickstart the process.
Oh, okay. So it is doable. Ima put Bangiso, I do have Urifilwe from Foslo. Let's see if my lines are working. Sis Rifilwe, thank you so much for joining us. Are you on the line?
Hello.
Hi, how are you, Rifilwe?
Hi, Mzali.
Siyaphila siswami, umbuzo wakho sithando sami before siye khefini so that sizozama ukukunceda.
Umbuzo wami uthi sisem like ngibuzela ifriend yami
Yeah.
isebenzele emakhishini ngapha ne.
Yes.
Uthole iRDP eCape Town. Bakathole iRDP eCape Town. Bekathole umuntu like ngasikhathi iphumele kumuntu bekaphilisana naye. So unfortunately lo muntu lo sekayenza business ngale RDP ufaka abantu mara i-title deed kuye lo sis.
How?
So yamsaba because bekuyiphoyisa lo muntu.
How? Okay. So manje umngani wakho akakhona ukuhlala kwi-property yini mhlawumbe umzama wenze?
Makaya njalo nje uke wazama ukuthola nyana amaloya asave imali wazama ukuthi aye makaya njalo nje abamtholi lo baba lo because apparently lendlu lebekuyeyakhe nendoda yakhe indoda yakhe yashona. So
Okay.
sekakhuluma amanga le phosa likhuluma amanga ukuthi lo indoda imthengisele lendlu.
Iphoyisa lonke. Iphoyisa lonke sisirifilwe. All right, I think okay. All right, siyakuzwa sisirifilwe. Thank you so much. We're going to see what we can do for you after this break. Sicela lapha kumabonakude. Finally my lines are working and I'm almost on my final break. Mbukeni, we're coming back shortly after this. Ngaindawo. Okay, it's our final segment again. Sisakhuluma ngokuthi uyathengisa kanjani noma uyithenga kanjani wena indlu ye-RDP. My guest today is Thato Ramaili, the acting COO at Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, alongside Ubaba Bangiso Mhlabeni, who is a conveyancer at Bangiso Mhlabeni Incorporated, i-company yakhe. All right, Bangiso, usisirifile uyakhala la ngendaba yakhe. Ngicela sisheshise so that I can also read you some Facebook messages before we go. Singamsiza kanjani umngani wakhe? Because a whole policeman useclaim ukuthi leya indlu eyakhe. Umuntu womthetho. How do we deal with this?
It's a difficult one, especially because the early police are claim ownership because owner uthi yena umngani wakhe ne partner yakhe are the owners of the house. Kodwa ipartner yashona.
Yeah.
So this is a hijack kind of property.
Exactly.
It's a hijack
And
property.
he's staying there without the title deed. Umngani wakho ne-title
Yeah,
deed.
and then use a force to police. Yeah, so it's one of those cases that because firstly you need an eviction. As I'm eviction, I evict the police. It's an eviction process. And I think bagam report na previous zakhe police ukuthi abuse ipower yakhe ngokuthi hijack izindlu, which is against the law. Yeah.
All right, Sister Brizana Riggs Ari, is it true that you can change the house of ownership to any member of the family or your child and get 100,000 rand from government? I've heard many this year saying that they've done that and they are waiting, or they didn't get the money after changing the ownership.
Hi, Alicia, people are so creative. But the only way you can change ownership of a property is through a sale agreement, but it has to go through the transferring process through the deeds office. So that means, again, a conveyancer has to be involved.
Okay.
So just 100,000 from which government? Our government. In times like this. Hey. So run. She must run.
All right, let me quickly go back to the lines. Musana, all the way in Mpumalanga, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Musana?
Hello, Njani.
Siyaphila baba njani?
Sikhona.
Yes, baba singakusiza kanjani? Shashisa khona sokwazi ukuthi sikusize before sivala uhlelo.
Yeah, RDP eThekwini.
Yebo baba.
Ngihlala nenkosikazi and we're shutting.
Oh no, samlahlekela ubhoti Musana. But Musana, if you can send us a Facebook message there, or alternatively usendele ilokhuzana an email there. All right, so unomusanana uthi hayi mina nginombuzo wami uthi uma kwa housing bafike bathi indlu yakho iphumile, iziphi mhlambe ezinye izinyathelo ekumele ngizithathe? But Bangiso, bese kuthiwa indlu yakho iphumile, but you get there usisithathu semuve in nefamily yakhe. What do you do?
Department of Housing.
Abuyele back?
Yes, and once bethi iphumile fanele abe ne documents incwadi azifumene kwi-human settlement as a beneficiaries. And then nxa se iphumile indlu bazawuxelela ukuthi which lawyers are going to be assisting her ukuthi bayenze i-change of ownership. Batransfer le ndlu from municipality egameni lakhe.
Okay.
So usually bazamxelela ukuthi which lawyers, and those lawyers zamcontacta yena.
All right.
Yeah.
Ostato, Mate Colin Ari, the sale of RDP houses is a problem here in Alexandra. A lot of people have lost their homes while the police and housing authorities are doing absolutely nothing. Lilo investigator.
Yes.
All right.
So tshwantse ba re emailele, ba re bolelle kapa ba ye to our website at www.ppra.gov.co.za. Ba lodge a complaint so that we can also look into the matter.
Utwalando Velemuti. Hello guys, thank you for a great show today. Ulapo eqonce. Hello Askis. Unfortunately, my lines were giving us problems today. So Untombi Uti yena, hi, I need help from your show. I'm from Soshanguve Extension 12B. In 2012, they built houses, RDP houses, but at my home, they did not build it. Someone sold it to my neighbor when my mother was in Limpopo. When she came back, she found out that it was sold and she re-registered. What can she do to get our house back? Tate Bangiso.
If she re-registered and equilist, I think they need Fanabuyele Department of Human Settlement.
Does that automatically put her on the bottom of the list then, of the applicants?
Normally, if you
were registered and approved, yes.
And approved, and were given a benefit, and then you sell, you forfeit the benefit. Yeah, but the benefit passes you.
Okay.
But if Bakwazu prove Akuti, I think it was someone else who fraudulently sold it. A department must be able to assist them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't understand, even if someone else has that benefit, as long as we list yes a human settlement portal iti guye beneficiaries, we entitled to what in food because we list I'm awarded this house.
Okay.
So if you get up, so we are going to enforce a right. ngoba there's no way ungafumana i-title deed ungekho kula list.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And last one from my Facebook comments. Unhlanhla Aaron Mabas uthi, hey Bizo, uthi wow yamnandi show yenu namhlanje. Thank you so much. Ulapha emnambithi siyabonga nathi insizwa. So Thato, in a nutshell, what would you advise people that are still applying for RDP houses, that want to rent out RDP houses, that want to buy or sell RDP houses, in a nutshell?
Ask the right questions. Who owns the house? How long have these people owned the house? Is there a title deed? Before you can even consider signing any lease agreement, paying any deposits towards the rent, or paying any monies towards the sale of the property.
Okay.
Make sure that you do due diligence before you even start the process.
Aribuanga lease in Bangiso. The lease process, is it more acceptable than selling or returning the house back to government when you're like, okay, I'm enough now, Alicia, umntana musefundile, useyasebenza usengithengela indlu, yithi ngirentiseke manje noma badayiseke from yona kubi business.
Yes, I think government need to do more to educate abantu ngale RDP program,
yes.
The reconstruction development. It is meant to house you. Wena umuntu ohluphekileyo. Si lendlu yakhe lo wena, dalamanzi aclean enzele wena, akazelanga la umuntu onemali. Lo muntu onemali makahamba yoqasha kwenye indawo athenge indlu ngoba
lena abanye abantu ethu.
Yeah, wena ungaphumi endlini ubuyele emkhukhwini oreshutshombeni just because ufuna ukwenza imali ngalendlu.
But that's the common practice. That is why they rent even to illegal foreigners.
Yes. So usually it's a problem because then it defeats the constitutional right you house, which the government is trying to help you with, because government is obligated to get adequate housing and adequate shelter.
And then sizokhala futhi sithi uhulumeni akasakhela izindlu, uhulumeni akanginikeza izindlu. Thank you so much, guys. I'm unfortunately out of time this afternoon. Thank you so much to Sis Thato Ramaili, the acting CEO of Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, alongside Bangiso Mhlabeni. Yenage, he's a conveyancer at Bangiso Mhlabeni Incorporated. Mbogeni, thank you so much for your contributions. Those of you that have written in or were trying to call us, we are definitely going to be sending your complaints to Thato alongside Bangiso. And then you uzuli email yabo, and you can also catch the repeat so that you can get those details. Remember, report abantu abafuna ukundayisela ama RDP houses, abafuna ukunirentisa wona, so that nizokwazi ukuthi nibe nezinto that belong to you. Umajali uthi unithanda nonke emakhaya. Bye bye.
Yilungelo